Welcome back to Destination Playdate. I am your host, Attack Slug, and this is Bender 2 Bend Harder, out now on catalog for a price of $8. As always, full disclosure, they sent me a copy. This is a high score chaser that is easy to learn and hard to master, and even though I do not possess a shiny metal ass, I'm currently the top bender for one button in the world right now. Let's start some more bending, shall we? Now, this is how the game works. Either B button, or the A button, or the crank to bend this beam. And you release or stop cranking when you reach the target angle. Now, the speed will change. The width of the beam will change. And the angle will change, and that's where the difficulty comes in. So, what you want to do here, for me anyway, is I use the A button and just bend it and then stop bending it. And if you are too far outside of it in either direction, you will fail, and you have 3 chances to fail before it is indeed game over. So do it again and again with the bending. If you get a perfect bend, you get A sound effect for that, and B, consecutive perfect bends increases your multiplier, which is not easy to do, but is very satisfying when you do accomplish such a feat. And this is the game. And there are multiple modes here I will show, but generally, it is a very simple to learn thing, but getting that perfect angle on that bend is definitely one of those deals. Now, you're wondering, Slug, how in the hell did you get 20,000 on your score here? And I will let you in on a small secret in terms of how this works, even on the actual Playdate itself and not on Mirror, which I'm currently obviously recording under, is that in the options menu, there is an option, delightful, that changes things a little bit. I failed one there. Because the speed is random, having to adjust to that random speed is where it usually kind of screws you. Now, here's the thing. If I go into the options and I turn on shade, it changes the graphics, but more importantly, it slows down the gameplay. And that, my friends, is the key to smashing those high scores in Bender 2. Because boy, is it easier, even when it's fast, when that fastness is a bit slower, if you catch my drift. Is that fair to the other people on the leaderboards? Look, I'm just telling you what I know and how the game works. So I'm not sure what the other point would be of the shading mode besides making it easier to play, as it does slow down the bending of the beam. But once you fail, I'm going to fail here, right? So once you fail, that is game over, and then it will upload your high score onto those online leaderboards. Each of these modes has their own leaderboards. And so you say, okay, Attack Slug, that's all well and dandy. Can it be any harder than that? Well, you're in luck, because the 2-button mode is just that. I'm currently number 6 in the world on 2-button mode. And this does take a bit more of your dexterity. So in this mode, it is B button on one side and either A or the crank on the other. I can't imagine having to crank and use B. Just use B and A to do the hard mode. And of course, on this perfect 90-degree angle, you're fine because you do A and B and then stop at the same time. But you will quickly see here that, oh no, they're on different angles, which means they stop at different times. And so the trick here is, as long as you're still making sure that one of the sides is moving, it won't immediately fail you out. So if we do this and stop and then go, we're okay. And it is a bit more lenient on the bending itself, like you don't fail as hard as you would in that 1-button mode. But boy, it's a different part of your brain to make that work and not totally just immediately lose your mind when the angles get like this, and it's like, all right, well, I gotta do stop and then stop, and it does take some, yeah, see, I botched that one entirely. Boo-hoo, it's a problem. So this requires so much more concentration than one button mode does. And if you're wondering, well, okay, that's pretty hard. What about if you were to only get one shot at the mode entirely? Well, you're in luck, because that's also an option here for you. So let me actually turn off the shading here. That does make things a bit easier. There is a mode where it obscures the high score, but it still has the fail 3 times part of that gameplay. Back to unshading and the speed, you'll immediately notice a much higher speed, which makes things much harder. Besides 2 button, we have 1 angle. And on these boards, I am currently also number 1, which I did without the shading. So I did it legitimately at that 12,825 score, which I don't think will last, but hey, you know, it's still early on. So now it's only going to be 90 every single time to bend, but the size and the speed will change. So as long as you can kind of hit the timing on it, you're kind of okay. But it does still, you know, it does not take it easy on you when you are outside of that 90 on either of those sides. So, you know, there's that. Uncool. Very uncool. We're not even going to try here, honestly. So I'm just going to break it and laugh. Besides the 1 angle, we have 1 life to live. And I'm currently number 8 on that leaderboard. And now it's just, alright, how far can you get if you only get 1 life? I have not tried this one with the shading turned on yet. Thus, my score is only about 1,000 currently. I'm sure if I turn on the shading, I get way higher than that. But, you know, haven't had the time to really get into that too far in Bender 2. So let's try here, legitimately, for a new high score with 1 life to live. That was close. That was real close. That was real. Besides that, getting a combo for having multiple consecutive perfect angles. If you miss one on the mode where you can fail more than once, you will lose points. So not a super huge amount, but it's still a thing that happens. So keep that in mind when you're going for that high score, that you will lose some points here upon your failure. So this, for me, is a new high score here on the singular 1 life to live. And there it goes. So 1555, my new high score on 1 life. We'll wait here for it to refresh. And that puts me at number 7. Additionally, we have 1 size, which is, alright, it's going to change the speed and the angle, but the size of the beam stays consistent every single time, and you get those 3 chances before you die. And finally, at the end of the line, we have the BENDER Thon, which is all the game modes in sequence. And how that changes is that every time you lose, it changes what type of game mode you are playing. So in that BENDER Thon, we start with the 2 button on that BENDER Thon. So 2 button, as far as you can get. And that, for me, is going to immediately just change. Now, 1 angle, I'm a lot better at than 2 button. And you go as far as you can on that. And then once you fail on the 1 angle, like that. Now, the 1 life is weird because, like, you don't have multiple for any of this. So it's a little kind of, you know, the same as the basic game mode. But I get why it's here. It's just kind of a weird inclusion, considering all these are 1 life as you go between the different modes and whatnot. And then 1 size is your next mode. So it goes like that until you fail enough times to end the BENDER Thon. So we'll do that. And then, my friends, we're done. And so you have those modes in the game, and obviously your high scores, but also there are awards to unlock. If you get first place like I did on those leaderboards, you get an award for that. Top 10, you get an award for that. 50 consecutive good bends, a perfect 2-button bend, 10 consecutive good bends, all game modes, and your first perfect bend. And clearly, there are some more I haven't gotten yet in Bender 2. So it is out now on catalog, $8, link down in the description. Keep on cranking. I'm Attack Slug. I'll see you next time. It might not have blackjack and hookers, but it's still pretty good, and I'm out.